All right, guys. So here we are, me 8 months pregnant, in the quarantine. I'm making this video for you. Pippa's probably going to run in here. I look like I just rolled out of bed. It's the afternoon by this point. It's crazy times. I'm going to talk to you about substance related and addictive disorders. This is chapter 17. I'm not going to lecture to you on this video. I just want to point out some important things and highlight them. I put some audio in another PowerPoint. I thought this might be a little bit easier and better for you all. Maybe not. I don't know. But here we go. So at the beginning of this PowerPoint, it's a really long PowerPoint. It's 75 slides. I'm not going to talk about each one. This is one of the most changed chapters in the DSM. It's very extensive. So be familiar with the categories of what one can be addicted to. It's substance related and addictive because it includes gambling in here. All right. So that's where that title came from. So know the difference in inhalants, opioids, sedatives, cannabis, alcohol, caffeine. Those are the different categories. All right. I also want to point out here, moving along, you will just need to take your book, take your PowerPoint, and just read through and highlight these different categories. All right. One thing that's really important is the PowerPoint's slides that are titled substance use. So how a substance is taken, there's different ways. We've all been affected by somebody who probably falls under one of these disorders. Obviously like meth and prescription drugs and heroin and opioids have greatly impacted our area. We probably all know a family member or someone that struggles with one of these areas, alcohol or more like pills or illicit drugs. So we probably all have some sort of lay knowledge going into this chapter anyway. So saying that, I want to point out about tolerance and withdrawal. So tolerance is the needed increase in the substance, right? So you have the first dose of whatever you're taking, however you want to take it, whether it's orally, smoking it, shooting it up, whatever. And each time you need a little bit more of the substance to reach the same high. And so that is tolerance. Withdrawal describes the physiological symptoms that accompanied reduced use of the substance or the gradual decrease in substance in the body while it is being eliminated. So both these symptoms must be present for substance use disorder to be labeled as addiction. So someone who is addicted has tolerance and that they need more and more of the substance, and they experience withdrawal whenever the substance is leaving their body, right? And different depending on which category of substance is being used is going to depend on what the withdrawal symptoms look like, right? With that being said, with alcohol, right? That's probably one of the most commonly abused, caffeine and alcohol.
I'm ready.
Oh, here's Pippa. Oh, she has made us a beautiful picture. Look at that. You say hi to my students. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, take it back in there. I love it. Let it dry. It's really wet.
That's you. That's Wake. Daddy, that's baby. That's me. And that's Wakely.
Awesome. Good job. All right. So alcohol, it affects our central nervous system. It is a depressant. So anyone who has had alcohol in their system before, it loosens your inhibitions. You may have a lot of fun, but then it ultimately depresses and slows the response of our central nervous system. And that's what like a field sobriety test is looking for when that is being performed, right? And those CNS autonomic functions. All right. When one goes into withdrawal of alcohol, being an alcoholic and going into withdrawal, it can really have some dangerous side effects. It's one of the most dangerous substances to withdraw from, and it can have significant health impact, including delirium tremens, and that is very specific to alcohol withdrawal or the delirium tremens. All right. Going on, the PowerPoint talks about caffeine. It talks about cannabis, marijuana. So look over those, and think about like how does that affect occupational performance in using cannabis. It goes on from there into hallucinogens and PCP. Let's see, we're going to keep going. Inhalants. Just be familiar with like what does it affect? Like how is the person going to act if they're on these drugs, basically. And then we're going to move on into opioid use, which is what we're probably most familiar with in this area as being abused. Let's see. What else? Unfortunately, we had to cancel our Narcan training, so I was going to bring someone in to train us all on Narcan, and everybody will get a Narcan, and we'll reschedule that for in the fall. I think that's really important for our area, and it's important because not only can it be like maybe there's someone that you know that struggles with opioid addiction, but if someone who's elderly forgets and takes their medicine, like multiple times, then they could be at risk for overdosing on their opioid, and you could administer Narcan and save their life. So we'll get that rescheduled, but that is the reversal for opioid when an overdose has happened. All right. Let's see here. Usually it's sedatives are like when people are stop, Pippa.
I'm hungry.
Okay. When people are addicted to sedatives or hypnotics, these are usually encountered as prescriptions first. Whereas opioids are not necessarily. You'd think, opioid addiction starts with a prescription, and it might, but it's so prevalent now that people can get their hands on them without a prescription fairly easily. However, sedatives are most often prescribed, and the addiction results from that prescription. It's less often a primary substance abuse. All right. Keep going. If there's anything else, we're gonna go on to the last part of this slide of this PowerPoint is what's most important as far as treatment and implications for OT and how it affects performance factors. So treatment for substance-related disorders, for all of them, whether it's alcohol, whether it's narcotics, even gambling, the 12-step program has been proven effective over and over, and largely because of its emphasis on social and spiritual supports. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to believe in God as prescribed by a certain faith, but that there is a higher being other than yourself. All right, so because of that is what research has shown that makes it very effective, the social and the spiritual component. Which also helps support, what we do in our practice framework. We very much value that spiritual component as well. All right. Other common strategies, behavior. There's other drugs that can assist with addiction and helping wean off. Some more effective than others. So then, what are the implications for occupational therapy? we can work in mental health. We can work with individuals just who are dealing with addiction, and we have a place at the table there. And nationally, that has been recognized, which is really nice. But it may be that you're working with someone somewhere else, outside of a traditional mental health facility that is dealing with this. And so, always cognitive behavioral therapy is going to be a go-to during anyone who's struggling with addiction. You need to focus on patterns and habits. We want to replace those habits that are destructive with functional habits and habits that are supportive to life, healthy decisions. So really looking at MOHO being applied with these individuals and the different types of habits, and what is diminished and what are destructive habits and what are healthy habits, replacing those. Looking at roles and what roles are being impacted by the decisions that they're making. May need to bring in family. I talked to a girl that I grew up with at church a year ago preparing for this lecture, and she was saying even having her kids taken away from her when she was so addictive didn't change her ways. She really actually started using more than she did before to numb the pain because she didn't want to feel the pain of her kids being gone. So it just sent her spiraling further down into using opioids, and I think she was on meth also. So what roles are being affected, and how are they dealing with the psychosocial implications? They don't want to feel, and this is a way to fill that void or that pain, painful feeling. All right. One screening tool that is important for you to know about is called Cage, and so you need to be familiar with this. This is a screening tool that you could use in any setting. So read over that and be familiar with it. That is important for you to know. And it's just an acronym for C. Has anyone ever told you that you should cut down? A, have people annoyed you by criticizing your drinking? G, have you ever felt guilty about your drinking? And E, have you ever had a drink first thing in the morning? An eye opener is the E. Go. Yes, that's fine. All right. So that is about all that I'm going to say on this very long PowerPoint. Trying to keep these videos short and not bore you. If you have questions, if you have specific questions about any of the content, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to help you. We're just doing the best we can right now. All right, guys. Best of luck. Let me know if you need anything. Bye.
Bye-bye.